My first question is just tell me your name and the name of your brand or your company.
I'm Stoney Love, and my brand is Stuzo.
And can you tell me a little bit about your background, like where you grew up and like where you've lived?
hmm I'm African. I'm Latine, by way of Panama, and I grew up in the Bronx, New York.
Hmm.
So yeah, and then now I've been in LA for about 13 years now. So
Yeah.
mhm.
And then can you tell me about your educational background, like both like
Mhm.
formal and informal?
So I went to high school, and then I got a ASS in performing arts, specializing in acting, and then I got my BFA in graphic design. Well, in fine arts, specializing in graphic design, and then I have informally trained myself to sew and screen print and run two businesses. So and by way of like YouTube and all this stuff, so it taught me how to do a lot of things and taking jobs that paid way less than me having 2 degrees. um However, that's monetarily, but I got the knowledge and stuff. So yeah, it's a balance of formal and informal for me. And I anything with a balance I love. So I'm happy with the journey of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool that you taught yourself about like sewing. It's a hard skill.
Yeah, it's fun though. I mean, I like it. I like anything that I can do with my hands. So it's one
Yeah.
of those things. I mean, granted, I didn't realize like a lot of these things I remember I used to sew. Um, no real particular anything like I just used to sew. Um, it honestly just maybe like a line, like just sewing things to like I'm not even together. I would just sew thread. That's what I'm looking for. Just the thread on my Cabbage Patch dolls. And didn't know that, that would come in handy and stuff like that. But I just always liked doing things with my hands.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And then can you tell me about your professional background?
Professionally, as far as what?
So before like places you've worked or how you've made a live, like, if when you before Stuzo or during Stuzo,
Oh,
like just kind of
gotcha.
what you've done in as
Yeah.
background.
Everything really. 'Cause, when I graduated high school, I mean, I was literally working before I had a permit to work. But let's say when I graduated high school, I did probably had about like 50 jobs. I was working at Filene's Basement. I was working at Red Lobster. I worked at The Wiz, if you're old enough to remember The Wiz. I and worked at a couple Foot Lockers, which I liked, and couple, I think it was Champs, another one. And then I went on to I'm a certified bartender, so I went on to do that. And then at that time I was like, I want to do something that I absolutely love. And I wasn't in the best place. And so I actually worked at the Garden because I was homeless in New York, and then I got a job working at Madison Square Garden. Then I didn't like that, and then I said, you know what, I really want to do something that I love. Um, and I held out and I stuck to it, and then I became a school photographer for about 6 years. Then I was also professionally a photographer, so I'm also a photographer at that same time. So it was a really nice time. I'm in my 20s, making a lot of money, had a great schedule. It was one of, besides Stuzo, it was probably my second favorite job ever. So that was so much fun. And then from there, I didn't want to work in that system anymore. I still was a photographer, but I didn't want to work in that system. So I actually was crafting Stuzo one like night till morning, and um, ended up going to school for graphic design while I don't think I had a job. And then I went to work for Buffalo Wild Wings. And,
Yes.
yeah, and that then while I was in school, and then towards the end, and then Costco, and then I moved here, and then I got a job at a silkscreen printing shop. Because I wasn't able to get a job as a graphic designer anywhere that made sense for me. As far as like it was just everything was just far and it didn't pay enough. Granted, this shop did not pay me my worth. But I took it upon myself to learn everything in the shop and how to do it because I knew it would be relative. I mean, it's the heart of how I started the business, silk screening stuff. So I was like, you know what, just gonna learn everything, and that was my literal last job working for someone before Stuzo. I left there and then I started a print company. And at the same time as I'm building Stuzo, I was printing for other people. And I still have the print company and I still have Stuzo.
Cool. Very cool. I love
Mhm.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Like I love all of this. It's like,
Classic.
yes, yes,
Good old B dubs.
yes, yes.
Yeah. It was a cute time. I was working with a lot of younger people at the time. That this time I was like in my late 20s and they were like teens and early 20s. So it was a little frustrating for me. Um,
Mhm.
but it was just a weekend job, so it was good. I would just go in and it's just like going on a weekend and then I would get wings and things. So I mean I still love their sauces. Like I buy the sauces and make my own things now. It's like just amazing this what they do.
And then, what term do you use to describe your gender identity?
Uh, Gender, I'm non-binary and human,
Mhm,
really. It, 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 I mean, I feel like I'm everything. Like, if that those terms are not there, like say, like on an application or my whatever the doctor on IG or something or wherever you can put it, I put he, she, they, them.
mhm.
Because I feel like I'm everything. So it is all of that. So it really doesn't matter like if someone's like, hey, she did this and he did this or they it's all good.
Yeah.
I absolutely prefer like queen and king for me. If that's like the top so too. Like.
And how would you describe your sexual identity?
Queer.
Mhm,
Under the rainbow of the or this queer umbrella. It's it's evolved over the years. As of right now, um, I'm also poly. And um I don't know if like I know one thing is I'm not physically attracted to cis men. However, as of like the last year, I've been attracted to trans men.
mhm.
And any kind of woman I'm attracted to. So that's just that, uh, for me. I resonate with queer because I was identifying as a lesbian for so long. Um, However, it doesn't resonate with me anymore, being that I'm attracted to trans men. And I can't even say that I would ever not like sexually be with a cis man again. um However, it's not my desire,
Mhm.
right? So I would say queer.
Cool. And then how would you describe your personal clothing style?
I would say it's like urban eclectic chic. Those three mixed together. Yeah, it's definitely like a mixed bag by the day because it goes by how I feel, really. That's how I dress, which is why, like, when people want me to style them, they do most of the styling, really, because it's more of like me grabbing what they feel and how they're feeling and then putting that together. So I dress on how I feel per day, and then it's the feeling first, and then what do I have to do? Like, if there's an event, then I'm like, okay, I feel like wearing this, so that gives me a range, and then I'm like, okay, let me narrow it down per event, and then we'll just see like how it actually comes together. And like I said, it could be anything. Like this is one of my Panamanian fabrics, one of the designs that's like known in Panama.
Mhm.
And I felt like being very bright and festive. This is a Chinese, it's a Chinese hat that I got in Chinatown. So I don't know if it says Chinese hat, but whatever. I don't know if it's, I'm saying because I got it in Chinatown. But anyway, so the mix of stuff and like, then maybe I'll have like sweatsuit on tomorrow, and then maybe I'll feel like wearing an actual suit. It just really depends, and it goes like it's everything. Like I have everything, every kind, like maybe even culture. I even wear kimonos and all that stuff. So it really depends. But I like to have like a balance too. Like everything for me is like balance. So, if I'm like wearing a gold here, like if it's flashy, there's like a balance of a stone here, or this or that. Like, I'm well into that type of aesthetic. So whatever it is, it always has like a balance that makes sense. And then it's like eclectic and it has that urban touch, and chic.
And what was your so you first I want to just talk a little bit about Stuzo, or have you talked to me a little bit about Stuzo? So how did the idea for Stuzo come about?
It was like 2008, and this time I was in school at my last year, working on my BFA, and I was working on my senior project, and in between that, like going through things, just experiencing things in New York, and between family and like friends and things of that nature. And um I started sketching one day till like maybe 3, 4 in the morning. I think it might even been 5, 6 in the morning because I remember the sun coming up. So I was just like I just couldn't stop, and I started sketching, and I was also like planning out how where I could get the t-shirts and the t-shirt district, and like how much they would cost and all this stuff. So I was like planning out the whole basically the whole like company and what I would need to do to start it. So I need this much and this and that. And most of those designs actually didn't even really make it, tell you the truth. But it was like just the structure, and then that was one day. And then fast forward maybe a couple months, um, I had conversations with my mom, and I had conversations with my ex-boyfriend, and they kept asking me if I was still gay. And I was just like, yep, still gay. And I was like, what in the hell is going on? And why do they keep asking me this? Like, apparently they didn't, they don't believe I was born that way. Um, and so I was just like, okay, I don't know what is going on, but I know that the light bulb went off, and I sketched that, and that was the official like first logo, because I just felt like, I mean, there's a lot of people that probably relate to this because of the whole theory that you're not born that way. And it's like, so I wanted something to speak to that message, and also maybe wear it so they can just not ask me again, and um, so I sketched that on a t-shirt, and then I just kept going like from there, because the first sketches were loose to like, it wasn't it wasn't really things that I resonated with. It was like, oh, that's cool. That'll make money. And that's like, people will love it. But it wasn't anything that I would see for the test of time. Like, I believe in this. So when that came from that experience, then I started drawing from other experiences and what I believed in, and then adding my cultures in there and all this stuff, and just started sketching away. And then I used my senior project to like set the foundation with the my logo, and like it was called Graphic Queen Apparel back then. I named it after myself, but I wanted to take the queen out of it, because like cis men and their insecurities would be like, oh, is that for a woman? And was like, it just says queen. It's not, I'm wearing it and I'm masculine presenting, like, come on, but I wanted it to so I ended up changing the name to mean, something I made up, and that just like, my crown and everything else, just something original that can have its own definition and doesn't have like a gender tied to it. Um, so, my classmates and professors helped me tweak all of the like the logo had a face in it, and they were like, lose the face, it looks juvenile. So I got all the great feedback I needed from them to show them some designs. And from there I was like, okay, this is happening. From then I have like the next one was like my human T, where it crossed out a lot of words that we deem derogatory: N word, B word, H word, F word, all these things, and underline human. And these are, this is the foundation and the mission that, we're all born regal, and we're all born royalty, and kings and queens wore what they wanted to. They didn't care about, what this how frilly it is, and if it's for this, woman or man. It's clothes, and I want to express myself. So that's the mission. And and that's how I've always been. So I realized, like, well, this is how I've always dressed. I wear my grandmother's clothes, I wear my brother's clothes, you know and things of that nature. And I mixed and matched them, and you wouldn't even know it came from their closets, and two vastly different generations, of people, and even genders. So, and why not, and create the stuff. And then another big reason is that I couldn't find clothes that fit me, my body type. Pretty much always been 5'2" and curvy. And it's like, it's either too big because it's made for a human male, or it's just too small and I'm like busting out. And I was not one for like showing cleavage most of the time, so I don't want that look. However, I like the shirt, but it's just, so it's like, what do you do? And there's this middle ground that is not there. So I wanted to create clothes that fit everyone, and they're able to create their own style and do what they want with it, um, based on, their individuality. It's not like I want to box anybody in. So like even over to the last weekend, friends of mine, 4 different friends of mine tried on my jacket, and it looked great on every last one of them. And every last one of them had a different style, and it fit. And then it was just I mean, I've been in the game for 15 years, but still I was like, and this is why I do it, because it's like, look at this, one jacket, everyone can wear it in their own way, and it looks great, and everyone's like, "God, looks good on you, looks good on you." And that's what I wanted, and I've continued to achieve that, with everything. Even if I'm like sourcing a t-shirt that's already made, it has to be something that's like cut down a middle line, and that line is a non-binary line. It is for everyone. So yeah, out of necessity and out of experience, Stuzo was born, and it's been growing ever since. And I like that. I love it. Love living the journey of all of it.
And so when did you officially become a business?
I'd say in 2010. I mean, it was born in 2008, and then 2010, I moved over and got everything done, and it was really registered and all that stuff. And I even had the business, my first business partner also in like 2009, and all that stuff when it started. However, there was still some more logistics. So, I mean, I say officially 2010, I would say.
Yeah. And then can you tell me a little bit more about the name and why you chose the name?
Well, I put the first 2 letters of my name in it, and just grabbed a name from like a well-known African name, and to so I like the strength of it. So it was like I just still wanted to incorporate myself in there, and like put me first, and then grab from a part of my heritage, and a name that I liked, and that putting them together, and it just flowed. And I was like, I'm going to create. I like to create stuff that's not there, and my goal is to, because I feel like words are made up anyway. This whole language is made up. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna create now back then we had like genderless and we had, you know, unisex and those things, and that still didn't resonate well with me. It's just less of gender, less of anything really, just kind of like, I don't know, sometimes it doesn't sit well with me with certain things. And then unisex implies there's only two sexes. So I wanted to create something, and I love I've always loved the word freedom and free and everything behind it. So I was like, you know, gender free. And now that's the meaning, you know, Stuzo, and Stuzo wanted to be like a something individual. As individual, I was looking at my crown, and then I didn't want just a regular crown when I created the logo. So I took elements of crowns and you know, distorted it to make it my own. And I'm like, I'm in love. I mean, like, it's my first ever logo, and I love my logo and the crown. So I was like, I want it to represent that. So it's like, you know, you want to know what it is, but then it is also synonymous with gender free and gender freedom. So um, that's what it means to me, and you know, the company, and now I want it to mean that as a word, where if someone's like, oh, that's gender free, well, that's Stuzo, you know. So I'm I'm actually I mean, I don't know if it's because it's a brand, but I'm my goal is to get it in the dictionary as a as
I
gender
love
free.
that.
Yeah, you know, like, you know, as a synonym, like, you know, gender free Stuzo, you know, because you can say it like that, like, you know, wow, yeah, that's just, it's like, it looks like, it reminds me of Stuzo piece. It's like, what's that? It's gender free, you know? There you go. I'm finding sentences. We're going to make this work. Yeah.
And
And
then
then
can
no one
you
else will have it because I was like, I got to make up a word that no one else will have. And they just, you know, because I made it up. So, you know, like, that's the idea, to create that in time, so there'll only be one, you know. Yeah.
can you tell me about the business model for Stuzo?
In what sense?
Like how do you sell, and like do you like is it e-commerce, multi-channel, or do you manufacture, do you design? And some of this I already know the answer to, but I'm just asking for the sense for the sake of
Yeah, no, I get it. Um yeah, thankfully we have a brick and mortar, so we do have a store in LA, in mid city, and we're also online. Occasionally now, after our pandemic, we pop up, that was a big part of the model, but you know, we've shifted since then.
Mhm,
Um, so occasionally you'll see us at a, you know, one of like the bigger events, like a bigger Pride, or, you know, something like that. Um, and we design and everything. All the logos are original. All the cut and sew pieces are original, their own patterns, and you know, we do outsource now, so we, you know, we have other people, you know, creating it or crafting it after it's designed.
mhm.
And yeah, you know, so we're on track to expand. So hopefully we'll get another store this year. That's the plan.
Cool, very cool. Is it still going to be like in the LA area, or are you thinking about like,
Another state. So we're
oh, very
out
cool.
going back on the East Coast.
Oh my gosh, that's
Uh,
exciting.
yeah, yeah, same. You know, taking time, but you know, everything great takes time. So we're
Yeah.
excited. You'll know once we get it.
And then can you just tell me about the types of products that you all offer, and like kind of what's your price ranges on those?
hmm So we have an array of products, you know, of course, t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies, joggers, snapbacks and beanies, and bucket hats. And we now have certain other accessories like bracelets, custom made bracelets, and bow ties and ties. More so like, it's an ode to my Catholic school days. So we have like Catholic school ties. So not regular ties, to be specific. Jackets, tailored, a lot of cut and sew tailored pieces. And we have home goods, we have candles as well.
Mhm.
And this year we are launching our gender free pet collection. So it's called Love Paws. Yeah.
Oh.
So we'll have a whole line of from pet beds to leashes to harnesses to like cultured and cool designed pieces. So for people that they want their dog to wear, like me, to wear like you know pieces that have their culture in it. Like I'll have like Panamanian pieces, African pieces, and queer pieces and stuff, and things of that nature. So and general stuff for everybody, for every dog. 'Cause I also feel like they're like us, where they're gender free. I mean, my dogs are very gender free. So, so that's what that, and um, I also want my one of my house and things of the things they wear to reflect that. So, that's coming this year. And just trying to think if there's anything else. Might be it, buttons and stickers and things of that nature. Nice array of things we have. Yeah. Mhm.
And can you tell me about
Oh, the
the
price range you
yeah,
did
the
say.
prices. Yeah, yeah.
Ah, um, it ranges. I mean, I'll say even down like to the button is like $5. Well, the stickers are $1, but like from $1 to about $2,000 to tell you the truth, because it goes up to like the jackets and like the cut and sew jackets, and those pieces are on the higher end. So we have tiers for everybody that want something, and they also want to build a collection, and they want to, and people that's been with the brand, they'll have, oh, I have the sticker on my computer, my button on my jacket, and I have my t-shirt, I have the hat to match, and then we have sets. And so it'll range. T-shirts typically are about $40 to $50, and then it goes up. Sweaters are like 80, and then the hoodies are like 60 to 70, and as are the joggers. And then it gets into the more the custom pieces, because they're one of a kinds, and we like to make limited runs, because when I was growing up in New York, I it was one of those things where every time I would wear something that I was like holding off to wear for a special day, and then I'd walk out and see like 5 or 10 people with it on, I'm like, I've been waiting this whole time to wear this. And then it's like, same shirt. I'm like, oh, it's just I don't feel as special or unique that day. And I wanted that to be a part of the model where I made a small run. So, someone with this shirt, they could get it, they'll probably have it maybe in Canada, and then there's just almost no way. And if it happens, it's just meant. But it's like one person has it here and another person has it here, and they probably won't meet, and they'll be able to shine and where they are with it, because it's like sometimes I'll only make 12, or sometimes literally I'll only make a run of like one of each size.
Mhm.
And that happens because sometimes I don't have a lot of the fabric, but I want to make it. So yeah, so and then definitely they're all handmade, and the fabrics are a lot of the fabrics are imported and things of that nature. So it's definitely a collector's item, and worth it.
Mhm. And
Mhm.
then the next set of questions are about like your design process. You already kind of answered some of these, but I'll ask them maybe in like a little different way. Can you talk about so you already talked about like your design process, like kind of how you go from like what's inspires your pieces and kind of like the approach you take to them. Can you talk a little bit about like where you're producing them? Like, are you producing them locally, or do you where do you source like labor?
Everything is sourced here in LA.
Mhm,
So as of right now, I mean, the goal is to employ people in Panama and Africa eventually,
mhm,
have the production houses there. But at the moment, yeah, we're sourced here in LA, in downtown LA. And yeah, and even I have a new sewer that's literally across the street from me. So um,
Cool.
yeah, a fellow African. So there's like an African hub over there and stuff. And so I've been, sourcing some pieces from there and it's been working out. So yeah, everything is made here.
Cool. And do you source like materials like from around the LA area? Like do you or I'm assuming they're coming from um I guess like yeah, like where do you source your materials from?
Yeah. It's a mix. It's most of it like, well, the supplies and stuff like, zippers and all the buttons and all the bells and whistles are here. And a good like it's probably like a 50% of the fabric is here, and then the other 50 is like between Africa and Panama, those
Mhm.
two. And yeah, those two really, because either wherever they do come from, they're usually like African fabrics and Armenian fabrics. So even if it's like well, that's actually I don't have any other fabric from anywhere else like you. So yeah, those two. So it's like a 50-50
Mhm.
type of thing. Mhm.
And then do you have any of your like favorite items around you that you could show me that you sell?
Um, this is one of my favorites. So
Yeah.
this is a classic. Yeah. This is our Mola 3/4 button down.
Mhm.
So the idea of this is, let me take you here. So the sleeve is it's like a, 3/4 sleeve. And
Uh-huh.
it's also the buttons, as you can see, like as usually a collar will have. So it's that that different type of collar instead of like the ones with the little like lapels or things like that.
Mhm.
um and then it doesn't button all the way, so everything is like 3/4 stopping. And I am obsessed. I mean, obviously I've seen this my whole life because it's the pattern that we live by. And there it's from the Kuna Indians in Panama. They this is a printed version of it, but they hand sew it. And you know what I have that I can show you? Show you. How do you turn this camera now? There we go. Wait. I don't know if you can see it. And I have to take my thing off. One
Oh
second.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, none. So I don't know
Oh,
if you.
cool. You have some examples of mullahs.
Yes. So those are like this is like actual sewn mola,
Yeah,
and I
cool.
because yeah, it's near and dear. I frame that because yeah, I mean they're pretty. Okay. Sometimes I feel like so old working phones and things. Like what? But yeah, they're so intricate to make, and like even those little squares. I mean,
Yeah.
they're well priced and stuff, but they're like they hand sew them. So a while ago they started making the prints, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. So um I'm in love with these. The cut, it feels so good. You can roll it up if you want, if you don't want the long sleeve, or leave
Mhm.
it. And I love this type of collar as well, because we've seen we've seen those so many times. And I like the difference in the cut of it. So yeah, that's another thing. And then actually right here I do have, this is one of our newer pieces too. Goodness gracious, the blur is good for some certain things.
I was like, I
Oh
can't
God.
see it.
I know. Okay. So this is one of our this pattern is created by me and inspired by Keith Haring in my New York days. He's a definitely someone that I admire and grew up. So as you can see, like some of his work was like the thick
Mhm.
outer lines and the around it. So it's all of our crowns, custom rivets on this, and it's a bracelet.
Cool.
So
I love that.
yeah, so you wear that and like this, and you have your royal bracelet here. So it's actually new for us. My fall collection last year for the crown. Um, So I've been in it for a while. So I was like, yeah, I'm coming for the crown. And it's faux spelled like faux fur,
Mhm.
because the it was a lot of faux fur mixed with, this pattern and this. So it was really nice because I hadn't made these kinds of accessories. Hadn't made these kinds of accessories yet.
Mhm.
And so it was really nice to make bracelets and the Catholic school tie and the bracelets actually can snap together and wear as a garter belt if you want, which I did show on in Fashion Week as that. And it's nice to like mix and match, and they can wear as like a choker.
Mhm.
So, and I do like making a lot of things that double or even triple as other things. So it's been going good. A lot of our ambassadors like it as a accessory piece and stuff. So yeah, a couple of things. I mean, it's a lot. A lot of the things that I mean, it's tough to say what favorites for me. It's really tough. Like it's like picking your favorite child. You just don't want to say one thing and then the other's like, but what about me? So I wore this though because I felt I had a really great day yesterday, and I redesigned my store, so that always like puts me in the best mood. So I was like, ooh, like I get to walk into a new, like it's like almost like a new store for me. So I was like, what do I want to wear today? And that's the thing about the feeling. And I haven't worn this in months actually, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna wear the mola because it's so near and dear to me. So like the mola and the African pieces, they they mean a lot, because that's besides me being human, then that's where the tears go for me, where it's like I'm human, I'm African, I'm Panamanian, like so those things are like they mean a lot to me. So um if I had to say, they would be those pieces and pieces like this are like nice, and it's like making it from conception. I it's one thing when you get a T-shirt that's been made already and you put your design on it. That's like it's just collaborative now. But when I have something that I source the fabric and it's from my culture, and then I was like, ooh, I like this cut, and you make it, and it's just all from scratch. It's like there's something with that, it is like now I made a baby, you know what I mean? And it's really nice. So, the colorful pieces, they're really near and dear to me. So we'll go with that, but don't tell like t-shirts and other things.
And, do you buy anything wholesale? Like the candles or anything like that? Or do
No,
you?
they're all made.
Mhm,
They're all handmade, hand porn.
mhm,
I do. They're manufactured the actual candles in Texas, so that's where my hand porn. They're a small batch company that has their own candles, and then they make my candles as well. And they're so aligned because the name of it is 1111, and I literally have that like tattooed on me. So I was like, this is amazing, a master number. Um, so yeah, they're all like hand porn. I actually learned and taught myself how to make them last year. So I have some that I made myself, which is nice. So between them and myself, I make them. So here in between Texas, and I get they're not even wholesale. I just get the vessels from different places, but also there everything is thought out with intention because all my vessels can be reused for decoration and things like that. So yeah, so no everything, yeah, no wholesale in there. Like I said, there I like the idea of things being, excuse me, handmade. So I
mhm.
like that it's hand porn, and I know who's making it, and like I usually get to see the videos of her making it, and I love it, and I think that's the magic of it all.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really cool. It's like seems like yeah, like that's like from the beginning, like that was like a core like value that was like built into like how everything, like even the bracelet could be like multi-use, or like yeah, I think that's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, we have so much needs as humans, and I want to fulfill a lot of those needs. It's not just fashion. It's fashion with a statement. It's fashion with function, and then,
Mhm.
it goes now, it's getting, I'm expanding past fashion. I have candles, and I have ignite with purpose and intention, because even the candles, like say it's Women's History Month, and one of a nice big seller now is our woman up candle, and that candle is made from dragon's blood, um, oils, essential oils, and that clears out negative energy. It's
Mhm.
purple because purple candles are great for setting your intentions, and also for like new moon rituals and full moon rituals. And I think it's a very powerful color. It kind of embodies the strength of a woman, the tenderness of a woman, and the royalty of a woman. And you know, um, and then the vessels, once you're done with it, well, even before that, we have wooden wicks now, and it's a double wooden wick, and there's nothing like the crackle of a wick. Or if you don't have a fireplace in your apartment, you can just transport yourself to here. When you hear it, you're like, it's like wood in a fireplace, which is, rare. And even in this world now, that are a lot of things are like electric and things like that. So I wanted to capture all of that in that candle, and then something that you can use afterwards, because
Mhm.
I used to get candles, and then once it's burned, it's like, it's all like, usually it's like a glass and it's burnt out, and you can't do anything with that. And I like that. I want someone to be able to now use it and even remember it. You have the remnants of the smell. You can put things that are like, coins in there, and then like there's a lid on there, and no one knows, and it's this beautiful piece now. So it's like it's creating things that people can have for a while, and even if they pass them on, it can still go to the next person. Because I mean, that's what we do. We're balls of these masculine and feminine energies that continue to just, you know we just continue to, like, I guess, evolve and transcend into another being. I mean, into other things. And I mean, we're in this vessel as a human body. However, once the soul is gone, I mean, the body's gone, the soul goes somewhere. So, I want it to be a lifelong thing for people, and something that, someone else can have. So something that's just, the longevity of it all. So yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on that. Definitely, I do, like to create these things that's like sustainable, and, useful, for multifunctional and handmade. Yeah.
Mhm. And do you have any like style icons, or like um like people who might be like inspirational to your design process? You mentioned it a little bit, but anything else to
Yeah.
add?
It's funny because I've always, because I come from more of an like an different mediums of art background.
Mhm.
um I've been inspired a lot by like photographers, and different types of artists, and funny enough, very few designers. um so because I've just been always doing things like, drawing and this and that, and like I all of that is what, like, I put into this. So like I said, Keith Haring, Basquiat, Frida Kahlo for sure, Georgia O'Keeffe, Richard Avedon, um, you know, this I've mentioned David LaChapelle. Like, so there's different mediums of stuff, and that all of that. I mean, as far as there's this guy too. I can't remember his name. Um, Gordon Parks. Goodness, yes. Yeah, I had to remember. And then now in the fashion world, who I admired were a lot of the black owned brands and urban brands, because those were the ones that I saw that was speaking to me, and that, I mean, I still, some of them I couldn't afford. But well, I didn't afford any of that. I didn't have any money, but my mom, you know, but like, but stuff that I, could get or couldn't even get, I still admired it. Like, Spike Lee had well, he relaunched it. So his 40 Acres and a Mule,
Mhm.
um, that, Cross Colors, Carl Kanai for sure, Walker Wear, Woo Wear.
Mhm.
And I did like Boss. I wore that, and I don't even know if these were authentic because it could have been like, some of these things we would not really get in Chinatown, and like, it's like for us, we were racking up like whatever, as long as no one is like, teasing us. I never got teased because the way I presented myself. I mean, there's for my clothes and stuff, and I was always neat and things, so people never really questioned what was going on. But I didn't care really. I don't care about like knockoffs or what's real or not. I think if someone made it and it looks nice, it's fine. So, and polo, which fun fact, Ralph Lauren went to the same high school as me and was even on the basketball team, because me being on a basketball team, so I learned that. And then my one of the security guards still worked there, and he went to school there, and they were classmates. And
Mm.
he would tell me a story about like Ralph Lauren and his like real, well, you could see his real last name there, and like they used to tease him. This is
Mm.
crazy. And now look at him now, so so I was like, well, who's laughing now? But it was pretty cool to go there, and I found out that Stan Lee went to the same high school as me.
You know, cool.
Yes. So I was like, that's cool to be, at least have some good alumni in there. I wear a lot of polo too, in Guess, I would say. So yeah, things like that. Yeah, and FUBU. I love the movement of like, for us by us, and
Mhm.
things like that. So yeah, those were the brands. There's a lot of urban brands that I resonated with. I really resonate with a lot of they call designer brands. I mean, I say it that way because it's like I feel like everyone's a designer if you're creating clothes. I mean, and all the brands I named, they're designers too. That is designer to me, which is why I like blurring this the line of streetwear and chic, and there's this sophistication of it, and it doesn't have to be like this like gown to be high end, or
Mhm.
made from a French designer for it to be a designer brand. you know um I think everything is designer once it has a label on it and it's made. That's the design. I mean, by that's the definition. So why, the separation for me is not there. So um so yeah, those are the people, and a lot of the artists and the mediums. Like it's kind of a, that's why it's an eclectic. That's why I dress like this, why I make this, because it's like that, which is also why I wanted to make clothes for humans, because I mean, it's fashion is so broad, you
Mhm.
know so I'm like, I mean, I don't, and so is art, so, and it's an art form, so I wanted it to be open and not closed in to certain things, and stuff like that. I just happen to focus on the things that make up me and that I care about. That is represents a whole lot of people anyway, so it works.
And then how would you describe who your customers are? Like who buys your products?
Our top customers are, well, any woman for sure. It's just, I think as a whole, it's, women just probably just buy anything and more stuff, I think, than I mean, it's just, to me, it's just undeniable, because I think we understand that things are things, and what, if we like it, we like it, and it's not tied to like a gender or this or that for the most part.
Mhm.
So we women, for sure. The In the beginning, my core audience were like, well, I wouldn't say maybe queer and lesbian women, were the ones that like kind of like was like my rock, like they were like, yeah, I see what you're doing, and I'm rocking with you, and and we're the big supporters in my customer base. And then it just grew, and um now, I mean, the most dominant thing is woman, but it really, as far as race, is all over the place, which is great. I love it. And in the countries, they're all over the place too. So that's good. Um, US is the top. And I would say ranges about like anywhere from like 12 to 60, 70, you
Mm,
know.
mhm,
Yeah, pretty broad. And that's the way I liked it because um it's I make stuff for human beings. So that is everywhere, and it's ageless really, and it's like, um gender free, and it's also like there's no race attached to it.
mm,
When I'm thinking about it, even if I'm creating something that is reflective of like my culture, I'm not like, well, this is for Panamanians and only It's not, because granted, I mean, and I love to see when people actually, are like, yes, I love that print. And they're going for it, and I'm like, yes, go for it. There is a line between appropriation and non, and I'm I don't see that happening within, and that's beautiful. I like to be like, the same thing as me wearing a kimono. And if I am, please tell me, anybody, because I definitely don't want to appropriate anyone's culture. Um, However, I think there's some things that you can wear, and it's okay, to be an ally or to appreciate it, and do it in style and stuff. So yeah, it's a good range, and I like that because I have something for everyone, and so I really, and with statistically, I don't want to be boxed into a certain thing. It'd be nice and I know it will eventually happen, to get more men on board. Typically guys are just, when it comes to fashion, it depends, like, it's, for the most part, I think it's, and society has a lot to do with it, where it's like, where, it's like want them to allow themselves to be more free, and
mm,
not tie it to being, tie it to sexuality, and tie it to certain things, and like emasculating or anything, because we're, as humans, masculine and feminine energy. So you wear what you want, you wear it your way, and no one can say anything about it. So that's the agenda that I continue to push. So, and I have seen the rise of like men now, like, wow, okay, great, of all sorts. Like I get it, and it is helping me come out of this show where I'm not worrying about what anyone else is looking at, because I know who I am inside, and it just looks great. You can't deny it when you put it on. So it's just one of those things.
mm.
Mhm.
And how much interaction do you have with your customers, online or in person, or do you have other folks who are interacting with your customers, or is it mainly you, or?
Yeah. It's a 50-50 kind of thing. I have other people, like answering emails, answering the chats and things, and like, I am more so the sole person interacting on social medias and stuff,
Mm,
right now, because visually, I mean, after my wipeout too, and after COVID, it's like, there's certain areas that I'm now back on, wearing those hats and stuff. So we're I'm a slow build, because I like to organically have the right people. So, so it's a 50-50 thing where, I have a good interaction with them, and there's certain, if they're like, an email that I can't really, like, that I have to handle, that I'll definitely talk to people. So I handle like half of the emails, most of the social media, and then, I'm in the store a good amount of the time, even if I'm in and out during the week, so people can actually see me and talk to me and stuff like that.
mm,
Um, we do have a retail, employee as well. Uh, yeah, and then I'm, in pop ups. I mean, now that we do, I'm there half the time too, because if it's a really big pop up, then I actually like doing it, like, because I love meeting people and stuff. So I'll, have a crew, and then I'll be there, and like I like to actually be in the it's usually an event that I actually like to do. So I'll be there, like, going walking around and this and that and stuff, and talking to the people. And I like that. I still like the sense of, you know, being attainable to a certain degree, to
Mhm.
certain aspects and events. So um yeah, so I'm reachable still. Yeah.
And where do you do your pop-up? Like what kind of pop-ups do you participate in or where are they?
It depends, and like stuff that we align with, like uh we do prides, like, the bigger prides, depending. This year we may do San Fran Pride,
Mhm.
Oakland Pride, and what else? A couple things here. Sometimes we'll do Dyke Day, depending. We may do it this year here in LA.
Mhm.
Um, we have done, other ones like all over, like, New York Pride and Afro Punk, and certain other things like Black Joy Parade in Oakland and stuff like that. And then some people like, was it this year or last year already? I don't remember what year, but the guard, like, some people will want to hire us for their, it was last year because it's Christmas. Yes. The garden, Madison Square Garden, their headquarters had their own pop up, like, within the office, because sometimes people can't leave and things like that. So for some companies, like, obviously, like the garden, and it was a full circle moment for me because I used to work there, so I was like, oh, this is nice, and then I got to see their headquarters here in LA, and they also do it in New York, which I'll probably do next year. And we'll ship stuff and have representation and things like that. And so, I'll go to that because I like to see, I like to meet the people and things, and stuff. So we'll do some, like, curated office pop-ups and stuff. Yeah, and last year I got to pop up at the Covenant House, and that was so rewarding, and that was the first time, and I hope to stay on board with them because got to I got to service kids that, with great clothes, and a lot of them, like, loved a lot of the stuff we had, and I was like, this is great. These kids are, some of them are homeless, and as someone that was homeless, it was like I got a chance to give back and tell them about my story and let them know that, I was once where you are, and look at me now, so it's possible. And I, gave them, my information, come to the store if you need anything, like, and so stuff like that was like super rewarding. And I got to bring, my one of my employees came, and it was nice for us to do that. And she also has a brand which I carry in my store. She started as an intern, and then I hired her, and then I also offered her to carry her brand in here. And this year we're actually working on a collection together, to merging my modern take on her vintage, because she does vintage. So, it's like I love to help see people grow and stuff. So it was nice for her to also meet people that she can hopefully this year bring her brand to give to kids and stuff like that. And it was so rewarding. So yeah, that's stuff like that. We do.
Do you carry any other brands in your store or or collaborate with other folks?
Hmm. So, like, Pretty Ill Vintage is the brand that I was just referring to. We carry them. And that is obviously a thrifted, vintage find. So they're all one of a kinds. And she's a fellow New Yorker too. So it's cool to have that, and energy in the store. We have a legendary brand, New Heritage,
Mhm.
and they have been on the original Fresh Prince of Bel Air, the movie Boomerang, the show Boomerang, Living Single. live in color, it's like I didn't even know all this as I was watching it, that now I would be carrying them, and we have done a collection which we have slated to release this year. So pretty legendary now. Her aunt and uncle had it, and they have passed, and then she revamped the brand. And it's just such an amazing brand. Um, and then my manufacturer has a candle manufacturer has a company, 1111 Candles, so we carry their candles in here as well. And
Mhm.
those are the three brands we carry in here. And I work with other brands on collaborative pieces and things like that, and collections. I've worked with Thread House to even I've made like their brimless hats. So they're like 360 kind of beanie caps. So it kind of looks like this, but all the way around.
Mhm.
But they're made out of we make them out of shirts. Like I've made them out of this pattern.
Mhm.
My actual t-shirts that we'll create that, and sweaters, which is pretty cool, and piece together fabrics that I have. So we've been doing that for a couple of years, Threadhouse and I, and a couple of artists, and um, yeah, I'm working right now. Like the next one is with Pretty Old Vintage. So we're doing modern and vintage take on these pieces, and um, working with verbiage, where on a piece of my for Love Paws and the dog collection. So that's going to be coming out in the fall. That's going to be great. Like luxury, um luxury hooded dog jacket, that, and then and a sweater to match for the owner. I mean, goodness, made out of velvet. So it's so luxe, it's so amazing. And it all goes into a bag that can be hooked on, and that's waterproof, so it's divine. So yeah, yeah, those are the things so far I've worked on. And I love collaborating. Love collaborating on stuff, and hope to keep going. Like I'm still working. It's been 2 years in the making, but we're working on a collection with an artist, Hillary Banks, and it was funny. She named herself after the Hillary Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
I
So
was thinking, I was like, is that the name of
yeah,
the?
right, yeah. So, but we're working on like a mini it's not even a collection, it's just a mini, it's a collab, but it's curated pieces, one piece in particular actually, and the inspiration is RuPaul. And so we're, the proceeds will go to, they're going to go to a an organization of our choice and stuff like that. So this is more so for us to highlight what RuPaul has done. And I have RuPaul on my wall next to Grace Jones, and I think he's in the embodiment of gender freedom, and
Mhm.
what he's done for the community and stuff. So the jacket that we are crafting is like has RuPaul in different in and out of drag, and like um showing that kids, like showing kids in their different within their all different genders, and that they're the what society usually wants them to do, they're doing the opposite. The boy, usually with the football, but it's the girl, and then the boys like chasing flowers and things like that. And so these things will be illustrated in a way where it's like it ties into RuPaul and stuff. And so we're working on that and hoping to get Ru in either the new space that I acquire, or the space or the current store, and have a whole event behind it. So in the works, but that's like that. I'm excited about that one because it's like me working with an artist in a different medium, instead of like someone who designs clothes. So
Mhm.
that's pretty cool.
And what are you most proud of in Stuzo so far?
I am proud of my personal growth, to tell you the truth. Because without the personal growth, the business wouldn't be growing. And I realized that that was important. I thought I had to learn, like it was solely about like learning business and learning these things and learning how to do that. And, anyone can learn that stuff. But it takes true awareness to be able to see that you have to continue doing the inner work and learning yourself and growing inside to be able to perform and be a great business person and to be open to growing and learning these aspects of business because um like that mindset and heart set and inside, it translates. It definitely translates, and it dictates what you do and how you move. And I had to learn how to trust my intuition because you're making decisions, and if you're like, well, what do I do? What do I do? You have to go within. And if you don't know how to trust within, you're not going to make a good business decision. You're not. It's and it's going to now repeat it, and now you're going to have like karmic relationships and making moves within your business. And then because that's what you're doing in your life. So I'm really proud of myself and the inner work and understanding that the time that I took to pause the business at times that people didn't even know it was on pause, and I'm like, no, I have to pause to go to therapy or to do this healing and do this work or do this retreat or whatever. Taking that time and not thinking that I have to be on autopilot and going um enabled me to have a healing heart and soul, and a clear mind, and to be able to to go with my intuition to now make better decisions, to show up, to love what I'm doing, not resent it, because there were moments that I did. And you shouldn't have that in things that you do in your livelihood, especially if you love it. So um, there's not a day that I resent anything that I do. I'm happy with what I do. I love it. There's no rush, for me, as though, oh, I've been in this 15 years. Why am I not here? No, I love every part of the journey, and it allows me to look back at things that I've done to remind myself, oh, I've done a lot. I'm on track, and this is just it's a beautiful timeline. So I would say that that's it. I'm proud of myself, and the work that I've done, which to me is showing that I'm raising my baby to be good because I'm good.
Mhm. And then what do you think has been most successful so far?
Uh, hmm, I don't know. Everything, all the designs, this the design, the mission statement for sure. So the foundation is the heart of the success. And I think that's what people see, and they see the genuine passion and the mission as to why it started, because it speaks to people, and they wanted it, and almost we needed it. And that's what resonates with people for sure. Because a lot of people can make stuff, and it, if it doesn't mean anything, and there's nothing like that, there's no mission behind it, and it may not last and it may not resonate. And I believe that's why we've been thriving for 15 years, because the mission remains and it grows, and for every generations that before me, and like now, and that will come, and then even after me, everyone wants to be seen to a certain degree and to be accepted, and you have to accept yourself. And it's like I'm showing them, like, you're born perfect, you're born royal, you're born free to be whoever, and whatever gender or non you want to be, and you can express all of that through your fashion, and it can look whatever you want it to look like, and no one can take that away from you. They can judge you all they want, that's them. And to be you and to be happy about that. And if I can provide that, or to plant the seed, or even bring people closer to that awareness through fashion and my brand as a whole, that's a win for me. So that's what's sustained, and And I think, yeah, so the mission has been such a success because it's a great foundation and it's coming from a human place.
Mhm.
And we all can relate to that because we're all human, aren't we? So um,
And then what were some of the things along the way that were surprising to you?
I think just, first maybe the that everyone does not think like me. So it's like just should have known, but it's like, oh, okay. Um, you know, I'm a different kind of consumer, so I couldn't base things off of how I consume things, and buy stuff. So I had to take myself out of that. So it's like surprise, everyone doesn't think like you. And that I'm open to everything. So now I'm like, oh gosh, okay, I have to, for male identifying humans, I now have to, make it more gender free so they're not questioning what it is. Certain other things that were surprising. Some, how the interactions with certain other brands too, and like people, and um just how people took to it, or the responses, and good and bad, how it grew, and how people, like, I mean, I didn't know that I would be affecting people's lives so deeply. I wanted it, and it wasn't like it was, while it was a mission, I mean, it wasn't like, it's like gun ho, like I have to change the world. And like it, it was like I started with me first, and then, people around me, and it kept growing. And I'm just like, oh, this is bigger than me, like this touched people, and this is like affecting people, to like, this is really touching them deeper than I thought, and like resonating a lot more than I even thought, so that was a huge surprise. Yeah, and then we won't even talk about the negative. We'll just talk about, just about the good stuff, because,
Yeah.
that's not really that surprising anyway, because, I mean, but I think that was the biggest surprise for me. Now it's not. It's a reassurance, and it's just like pretty cool. Like, wow, but it was a surprise that I, like, wow, like I reached certain, and like around the world, and even people that I've admired, like, Jada Pinkett, whom, you know is a really pivotal part of why I'm even here. I mean, she was my favorite, and still is one of my favorite actresses of all time, and which led me to want to act. Her role in Set It Off, which is one of was my favorite movie, period. It was like, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to act. And from there, it got me deeper into the arts, and now full circle, she's wearing my clothes, and I have yet to even meet her, but she wears my clothes. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty surprising. And it's like, who knew? Because it wasn't like, oh, it wasn't even on a vision board of mine, funny enough. Like, I was just not like, oh, Jada Pink is gonna wear my stuff and all this stuff. It was like I was embodying everything and very being inspired. And I actually legally changed my name to her character name in the movie. And it's so wonderful. And I got the opportunity to tell her daughter Willow that, or her child, let me say, I don't know, just non-binary or not, but Willow, um, how much her mom inspired me, and all that stuff. So that was beautiful. So those things, like, they have surprised me, like, what, because if you don't, physically meet someone or give it to them, you're like, this actually reached them. This is like multiple items, and like I'm that big, like it's Stuzo was that big, like, goodness. And I love it. I love it. And it's like, now it's like, okay, it was to surprise them. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It makes sense. And the mission continues. So yeah.
And then are there any struggles that you with the business that you'd want to talk about even briefly?
The main struggle is really capital. I mean, that's tough. I mean, it's anyone in this. I see, dress forms in the back, so I don't know if you know, but I mean, anyone in this business that's designing clothes, even if you're not cutting in the cut and sew part of it, it's pricey and it's a lot. It's a lot of put back and a lot to get and to maintain, especially making collections. So that's really the toughest part, because you learn things and you learn things along the way, and you have people, there's accountants, there's lawyers, there's people that can do these things for you that you don't have to do. I mean, granted, there are also investors and things like that, but you got to get them. I mean, you can hire someone, but you also need to get the money to hire people, and they need to have the investors believe in you to be able to invest and all these things, and you have to create this revenue on your own if you don't have a 9 to 5 in addition to the business. I've been doing this full time for the majority of the business. So capital is still a thing for me, even to this day for us, continuing to keep it going, especially after our pandemic. So you
Yeah.
know like really was like, whoa, okay, just when you think you're about to like soar up to this thing, it's just like it was like it's basically like we started over almost, and that's different. But it's now, but I think of it this way, and I'm a silver lining kind of person. So, if you were reborn right now with the knowledge that it would be a different ball game, right? So it's different. So now it's like I have a lot of knowledge on what to do and what not to do and how to make money and how to be crafty with all the stuff and also how to balance it and stuff. So it's good. It's good. So it's still challenging. However, I'm up for it because I have more than I knowledge than I had when I started.
And can you talk about some of the imagery that you use to promote your products and like how you're intentional about those?
I for me, like when it's usually like the models and things like that and people, and there are no age and race and gender requirements for me, because I graduated from modeling school as well, and that they already immediately put me in a box like, oh, you're print, and you're not going to walk a runway. And I'm like, what? I will never walk a runway. I'm like, okay, not even in heels? Like, oh wow, all right, So I didn't want um whether it's runway or print, the more unique you are, the better for me. Like bring it on. I want it because I want everyone is a model and an actress and a this and that in their own right. Why not? And they should be able to. So, I like to select people that people aren't using also. And I like to give people, I love underdogs also. So I do, love to see that a lot of our models now are like thriving. Some of them are in movies and I'm like, get out of here. Like, and it's that knack. It's something that I saw in them because I see people, for who they are and the greatness in them. And, give them the shot and they and some people have booked things from our portfolio that we've created together, and I love that. And so there's no limits and all that, and I'm very intentional about that because I think we all deserve a chance and we all have a beauty to us that should be shown. And for me, I mean, I see anyone that I've ever seen put on Stuzo, I'm like, it just transforms them. So it doesn't matter. I'm not looking like, oh no, you're not attractive or you're not like that. I'm like, no, trust me, you're gonna put this on, wear it your way, we're gonna style it, and you're gonna be like, wow. And that's that, and that's the power of clothes too. So yeah, so I intentionally pick human beings that are passionate about the company, and that's it. Like, there's just, like I said, the requirements it's very broad. Like, and it starts with you being a human being, and now we're gonna invite all kinds of dogs too. So that's that's gonna be the case. So yeah, that that's what it is, even whether it's runway or print. And um uniqueness is really the goal.
And then the next, so there's two more like areas left.
Mhm.
And so the one is about funding. So can you talk about how you initially funded or how you fund?
Through either grants, the natural revenue that a company makes, and um now we're in the process of creating decks to talk to investors, because we're at that point where I'm also seeking out a new business partner, someone that could possibly, well, someone that will have the financial resources to continue the company and take it to the next level. So that's where we're at right now. But at this moment, it's revenue and grants, really.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then you talked about, I actually think I don't have to ask this question, but I'll ask you anyway. It's about like sustainability and ethics, and I
Yeah,
think it's kind of wrapped up in your whole business model, everything you do. But anything
right.
else to add about like how you think about ethics in your business and like how you do business?
Yeah. One of our models is a no fabric wasted. So we take stuff that, like, when we crop a tee or a hoodie, that becomes a new piece. So that could be the crew caps, like the 360s that we do. We create those out of that. We have created upcycle pants, which is my favorite because it was such a long I saved so many bottoms to hoodies and sleeves of sweaters for years, where I literally moved to like probably 3, 4 apartments with them. And consumed my dressers and and I just had them, and I still, even to this day, have like a good like trunk filled with them that will be like the last bit. But I've since then, after once COVID hit, I said, you know what, I'm going to still work on this and the product. So I mean the that project. So and it's been great. So we make pants out of the arms of sweaters, and then the top is the bottoms of hoodies, and then the middle is the fabrics of the sleeves. I mean, t-shirts. And then we also use fabrics from our old collections that we still had to put in, like, in between, like, instead of maybe the t-shirts, we'll put like a fabric in the middle. And so it's good because it's like, oh, you remember that collection? I didn't get that piece, maybe whatever, I couldn't afford it, or just it sold out. So now I have one that, like, it's a little bit of that collection, and it's also other pieces. So people will crop something and just throw things away, but we don't do that. So we use everything. So there's like even scraps. Like, I'm saving scraps in a bag, and I'm pretty sure my whoever sews this is gonna hate it, but it's gonna happen. Like, I'll probably make a one big jacket, or I'm thinking of a quilt or something, to auction off one day with all of the scraps that we've ever made, collections and used and all that, to make like a big quilted piece. So nothing goes to waste. And a lot of like eco-friendly pieces that we use for our t-shirts and our sweaters and all that. Everything is thought out.
And then um uh that is there anything else that would be important to know about like the history of Stuzo and like where you've been and what you've done as a business and a brand that we haven't like necessarily talked about? We talked about a lot of stuff. So,
Right.
but is there
Yeah.
anything that like I didn't ask about that would be important to know to understand like how and why Stuzo came about and like how you all operate or
Hmm.
your like place in this like moment in time in
Right.
impression.
Yeah. I think the main thing that I would like to leave you with is that our motto is live your truth, and that is before I even had that as a motto, as a slogan, as a design, that was that was what it was. That's a part of the mission in there. And that looks like whatever your truth, individual truth is. And we want to promote that and encourage that all the time, every day, 365, 24/7, because um I mean, it shows eventually, the truth always comes out, so who you are will show.
Mhm.
So why not become aware of that and then start to live it every day? As far as we know, we get one life in the human form, in the body we're in. So if you get this one life as Stony, why not live it as truthfully as you can? Um, you know, and everything falls into place. Your health, your happiness, all of that. And I know that offhand. So when I made the choice to start living my truth and doing the work, that's when that was born, that that logo. And that's when a lot of things started to make sense and really fall in line, and my happiness went through the roof, and even ailments went away in my life. So I'm like, think about that. So I'm like, I tell people that too, like, man, like, live your truth, and things will, physically you might, start to do better. And I know that for sure. I can't tell you one thing I have, but a little bit of allergies, I can't really escape it. But I mean, where I was before that and where I am now is like, wow, I feel so good inside and out. And that's why that's so important. And I want to always encourage that, and know that it's going, like I said, it's going to look different for every individual, and no one can take that away from you. So because it's yours, your truth to live, and you're feeling it and experiencing it. So whatever that looks like, live it with conviction, and everything else. That's good. It's like the cherry on top.